In this video, let us see what is reshaping and pivoting. Let us import our libraries pandas as PD and numpy as np. Now let us use our data frame here with a variable called data. Now let us execute this variable data and see what we have. Now we have here two columns, and for the column we have subcolumns, and again for the index we have subindexes. Now here I would like to change the index names. I would like to give the index names for column as well as uh, column names. Now for that I'll just use a method called data dot index dot a method called names. Now I simply use a list here, and here we have our in two indexes we have. So I would like to give just class and exam. Okay. Now I also want to give for columns. Here we have columns, and then I'll just use names here. Now I will enter the names in the list. Let me write here field and lesson. Now if I execute data, let's see what we have here. Now you can see here our two indexes have got named with class and exam, and similarly we have our columns here with here we have column names with field and lesson. All right, now let us use a stack method here. Let's say we have a variable called long, which is equal to data dot stack. Now when we use stack method here, there is a problem here. No. Now let us execute here with a variable called long. All right, now you can see here, now we have interchanged here. That means whatever that is there here on the column side got replaced into the rows, and the rest everything was same. Just these sub rows got interchanged to the rows. Now let us do another method called unstack. Long dot unstack and see what we have here. Now when we do unstack, we can get to the original one, but here it is just replaced with the ascending order. You can see here we have num and comp, but here we have comp and num. That is just replaced, that is just arranged in the ascending order. Now let us look into another things. Let me just execute here data. So this time I would like to use here data dot stack. Let me just see what is there inside this stack. So I can use level, or I can directly use some value here, which will be our level 0. By default it is taking level is equal to -1. So this time I'll just use here 0. Let me just see what we will have here. Now when I used 0 inside the stack, I just got this with one after the other, right? Now here you can see my the columns first columns which are having num and comp were replaced with the row. Okay, this is about stack of level. Now instead of that, we can also just use with a field here. For that I can just say, let me just execute data here. So by using a field, also I can make it over in the rows. Let me just use that data dot stack. It's going to stack with field rows, which is called field. Now you can see it here. Now it got arranged in the row wise with respect to the field. All right. Now let's go and see some more examples. Let us have the series S1 and S2 here. Now if I execute S1, we have S1 series and we also have S2 series. Now I would like to concatenate the S1 and S2 and assign it to data2. Let me just use a data2 variable here. Now I will use pd dot concat. Okay, and here I'll just use the list and say that we have a series which I'm trying to concat, series S1 and S2. I can just directly use like this, but what I would like to do here is I would like to give some uh, separate master index for S1 and S2. For that I can just use here, we'll have we have here a parameter called keys. I will just use this keys, enter a list with, let me just say that name 1 and name 2. Now when I execute this, you can see it here. I have a separate indexes for the series S1 and a series S2. Now here I would like to unstack this. Let's see what I will have here. Unstack it. Okay, now I have got everything arranged in the column wise. Only the rows here, only the one which are seeing the second index got replaced with columns. Sorry, arranged in columns. Now we have here name 1 and name 2 as a rows. Whatever that doesn't exist with respect to name 2 and A, we are not going to have that any number. So it just left with a blank which says NaN. Now let us also see what all we have here. Now if I use data2 dot unstack, we should go to the original data, right? Let's see what we'll have. No, this. Okay. Oh, sorry. Now we'll just use a stack here so that I can just get back to my original one. Okay, this is my original one. But here I'm unable to see NaN here. For that, I'll just simply use a parameter called drop Na is equal to false. By default, it is set to true actually. So now when you set it to false, you can see all the blank ones with respect to those indexes, right? Now let us see other one. Suppose if we have another data set here, let's say which is a stock variable here. Okay. Okay, now let me execute this stock. Now we have here, this is in a long. Okay, now we would like to execute in wide format. For that I'll just use pivot. I'll just use pivot function, stock dot pivot, stock dot pivot. Now here I have some parameters. Here I have some parameters. Let me just see what I have here. Mhm. Okay. Now here you can see that index is equal to none here. Now I can just say that I can just copy all these things here, paste it here. I would like to give an index called fruit here. Okay, index called fruit, and column to I'll assign color to the columns. Okay, now I'll just use values for peas. Now let's see what we will have here. Name fruit. Okay, Fruit. That's correct, right? Fruit. Let me just use this in within this quotation so that I may get the output. Now we have here output. Now the fruit has taken the indexes which are apple, grape and plum, and the color has taken into the columns purple and yellow, and the rest got mapped here. Now this is about a pivot. Now let's take something called let's take another one. Let's include a separate column, let's say, which is having a value. Now when I execute stock, I will have another new column with a value. Now this time I have two columns with values. So I can just simply take this, I can just use it here. I don't want to assign anything for values here. I'll just directly use this and print. So you can see it here. I got an index with fruit. I got a I got a colors in the column, right? Now here I have separately for peas and values, right, as my main columns. Now let us see how we can extract the column value. For that I can just simply say that p of value. Oh, something wrong here. P. Okay, it's not p actually. I I just wanted to give here a variable called p. Now when I execute p, I have this data frame. Now p of value. Let me just write here p of value. Now here I have the data from the columns purple and yellow with respect to the fruit indexes. So this is for that. Actually, now let us look at some more examples here. Let me just take a data frame which is called data here. Now when I execute here data, I've got a 3 by 4 matrix, right? Now this time I would like to use a variable called group here. I'll just assign the variable called group, which is equal to pd dot. I'll just use a method called melt. Okay, and let's put our data into this function. Let's say we have this data here, and this time I would like to use the column which is called lesson here, so that all my data which are there here in the column will be splitted, will be scattered over the rows, right? For that I'll just use here in the square brackets lesson. I can also check that in here what actually it is saying. You can see here we have number of parameters, right? Here we have a value name, so I'm just giving here as a lesson. Now when I execute this, I'll just have this group.